Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Phil and welcome to Expo Aviation. Today's trip report is our flight from Manchester to Atlanta with Virgin Atlantic. We begin our day at Manchester Airport's Terminal 2, where as Economy Delight passengers were able to use the premium check-in desks and skip the queue. It took around 20 minutes to pass through security, which was outstanding for Manchester Airport at the best of times, never mind the peak of the summer season. We were actually so quick through security that we arrived at the Aspire Lounge too early and were asked to come back an hour later. This was the first of two flights for us today. We would be going to Atlanta and then on to Miami with Delta Airlines, where I would get to try out the Delta Comfort Plus product. But first things first. Our flight would be departing from the newly constructed Pier A. It is a long walk from the Aspire Lounge to these gates. It took us around 15 minutes at a fairly brisk pace. There is a lot of construction work going on as the old terminal is knocked down and rebuilt, so there wasn't much to see on the way through, though there were windows to look out of. Our aircraft today is G-VLNM, a 19-year-old Airbus A330-200. Delivered new to Sabina in February 2000, moving on to Lufthansa in 2002. Following that, she went on over to Swiss and eventually Air Berlin, where she remained until their bankruptcy in 2017. She was delivered to Virgin Atlantic in May 2018 and christened Strawberry Fields. As our aircraft was parked on the stand closest to us and that boarding commenced within minutes of the gate being announced, we didn't need to go down the new pier, so we couldn't get a proper look at what new delights await travellers as the new super terminal comes online. One thing I do like about the new terminal is that the air bridges are glass, so you can see outside, which is great, and makes the boarding experience a little bit better when a queue forms. Our Economy Delight seats were located in row 23, over the wing. A pillow and blanket were provided, and our seat area was clean and tidy, though a bulkhead panel had been kicked in by the seat in front of me. The legroom was excellent, and unlike all my other A330 experiences, there wasn't an IFE equipment box taking up some of the legroom. The seats themselves were comfortable. The headrest was rather low, however this can be adjusted and raised up as required. Boarding seemed to take a while, and the temperature on board began to climb quite quickly. Unusually, this aircraft wasn't equipped with gaspers in the overhead panels, so we were unable to have even a little bit of cooler air at our seats. We would just have to sweat it out until we got airborne. We pushed back a couple of minutes early, but then we had to wait on the taxiway for a while before moving off with the safety video playing out as we made our way towards the runway. I must admit, I do like the Virgin Atlantic safety video. It's animated and will almost certainly get kids' attention on those Orlando flights, but even as an adult I can chuckle at it despite getting the serious message behind it. We made our way over to runway 23 left and were behind an Airbus A330, which was operating some sub-charters for Thomas Cook. There was a PA from the cockpit to tell us we were number 2 for takeoff, and I chuckled as we waited for a while for the gentle curvature of the earth to assist the A330 in climbing out before we moved on up and started our takeoff roll. Once in the air we were given the usual PA announcements, with an addendum that as a passenger was travelling with a severe nut allergy there would be no nut-based snacks available and not to eat your own. Good job I ate my Snickers bar earlier then. A menu was handed out shortly after takeoff, giving us our meal options for today's flight. There was a choice of chili con carne, chicken in mushroom sauce or pesto pasta, with the latter two being either the gluten-free or vegetarian options. The bar service began 20 minutes after takeoff and started in the premium economy cabin and worked aft, though they were pretty quick in getting to us, and I opted for a beer as usual. Following on from the drink service, the meal service began. I opted for the chili dish. I know, I had this last year when I went to New York in premium economy, but I thought a little comparison might have been a good idea. Plus, I didn't fancy the gluten-free or vegetarian dishes. The starter was a Japanese cucumber salad, which seemed to just be diced cucumber and lettuce, though it tasted okay. There was also some cream cheese and crackers and a bottle of water. A choice of red or white wine was offered, so I had the white. The main course looked a bit different to last year's premium economy offerings. In fact, I think I saw the main course in a Mr. Bean sketch, but it did taste okay though, just a little bland. The dessert was a chocolate and yuzu caramel ganache, which whilst very small, was very delicious. With the meal out of the way, I settled in to check out the in-flight entertainment. Complimentary headphones were provided for everyone. The ones in economy are identical to those in premium economy, and they are the over-the-ear type and comfortable enough on an 8-hour flight. The TV screens on this aircraft are the same in both economy and economy delight. They are almost identical to those used in premium economy on the 747 last year, with a decent sized screen. There's a USB socket by the screen too, which is great for charging phones, and there's a headphone socket here as well. The screens are very reflective, so unless it's a night flight, you might find yourself having to lower your window blind or close it altogether to be able to see. The touchscreen sensitivity can be a bit tricky when navigating through the menus, and also makes playing on-screen games a bit difficult. There were 68 films on board, most of which were newer releases, and didn't seem to be any old classics, though there was still the odd one to keep me occupied. There were lots of TV programmes too, though most had only 1 or 2 episodes of each. Some had more, but rather oddly the episodes were not in sequential order, with the episodes picked almost at random. The audio selection was pretty good too, though I must admit, as we were going on to Miami, I ended up playing Won't Get Fooled Again on repeat quite a bit. There is of course a moving map. It rotates through various zoom levels, and you can put an overlay on with additional information with things like airspeed and altitude, and that's pretty cool. On the literature front, we had a safety card, this one being unique to our particular aircraft, November Mike. There was also a card explaining how the onboard Wi-Fi works and how to connect to it. It is chargeable, so we gave it a miss. There was the Vera magazine too. Vera is the name for the in-flight entertainment, and this magazine is a mix of in-flight mag with a couple of articles and information about Virgin Atlantic, but also includes information about the movies available during the flight. There was RT magazine too, standing for Retail Therapy. This was the duty-free shopping magazine, which is fairly self-explanatory. Around halfway through the flight, a second bar service took place. Again, this was pretty quick in reaching us, due to it being complimentary, but they had ran out of both Budweiser and Heineken, so I had to settle for Stella. Afternoon tea, or should I say mile high tea, as per the menu, was served a little further on into the flight. Presented in a nice little box, there was a sandwich consisting of mozzarella and pesto with tomato and rocket. There was also a scone with jam and clotted cream. This was accompanied with a choice of tea or coffee. I enjoyed this flight with Virgin Atlantic. The aircraft was clean and tidy, the entertainment was good, and there was a friendly crew. The economy delight seats were excellent. They are just regular economy seats, but with much more legroom. When the seat in front reclines, it doesn't feel anywhere near as tight as it does on other flights. I hadn't specifically booked these seats. It was part of a package with Virgin Holidays. Rather bizarrely, it was more expensive for us to downgrade to economy for this trip, so it is worth keeping an eye out for a better deal on upgraded seats. Even if it does work out more expensive to go economy delight, I really do recommend it, as the extra legroom really does make the flight a bit more comfortable. We began our descent as we passed northwest of Charlotte, North Carolina. Our approach would be a fairly straightforward one. We would pass north of Athens, no, not that one, making just 2 turns and then coming in on runway 27 left. I would certainly recommend Virgin Atlantic, and I do look forward to travelling with them again. On this route in particular, the aircraft can be swapped from an Airbus A330 to the much larger Boeing 747, though it's usually planned months in advance, so you can spot it at the booking stage. We would be going home on the 747 in a few days, but first we would need to get through customs and onto Miami, but that is for another video. I hope you enjoyed this trip report, and as always, thanks for watching.